Good evening and welcome to week 11. Um, this week we're discussing whether you could use Little's approach on abortion regarding policy and laws, and whether you could use, on the same sense, Hurthouse's approach to abortions from an interpersonal ethics view, and whether you could justifiably or logically defend this from a philosophical standpoint. Uh, I think it poses a very good question. Uh, to start off, Little's standpoint is that women have no moral obligation to maintain a pregnancy in any circumstance. That while the unborn child is inside of them, it's no different than any other appendage that they could choose to have removed. Whereas Hurthouse's argument is that to do such abortions would not only hurt the individual themselves, but in a sense hurt society because it makes them callous um, to certain situations or to certain things, um, which also makes sense. Uh, Personally, I think Hurt House is more on the right track, uh, and I think that's proven by whether a woman chooses to have an abortion or it's a spontaneous abortion or a miscarriage, as it's referred to commonly. Uh, Women always have remorse, whether it's mild remorse or, very grievous remorse because they lost a baby late stage or a UDH, however you want to call it. I think Langerart got it closest, but that's not part of our discussion this week. Uh, but as far as using one approach from a policy standpoint and one from a interpersonal ethics standpoint, I think is an interesting question. I do think it's indefensible simply because if you're going to use one theory, then you have to stick to that theory. Um, I do think that there is no such thing as a truly defensible approach um, to argue anything. I mean, that's the whole point in having a discussion or an argument is there's always going to be a counter argument, and that's what philosophy is about. Is there an ultimate right? Yes. Do we have any idea what that ultimate right is? No. We each have our own faiths and our own approaches and our own life situations that are giving us some sort of moral answer, but that's not to say that one of ours is correct and the other isn't. So, as far as using one approach versus another, it could be done, but I don't think it's defensible or logical. Uh, my example of that is similar to this, and that would be using a feminist approach on ethics to where you're going to regard family at a higher level. So, say that there's two children drowning, one's your child, and the other is somebody's you don't know. Well, if you go and just save your child, there's a 100% chance they survive. However, if you go out there and get your child and the other child, it drops down to a 75% chance that your child will survive, but it raises the other child's chance to a 75% survival too. So, in that theory, you wouldn't do that because feminists, you have to tend to your family first, and that's the highest priority. So, you're going to take the route that gives you a 100% chance of survivability. But on the same note, if you argue that from a virtuistic standpoint, you're going to do what's ultimately best overall. And same for utilitarian or any of them. You're trying to cause the most net pleasure. So you would ultimately sacrifice some without risking too much to generate net pleasure for everyone overall. And so you see what I mean? There's no way to truly use one topic here and then one topic there. There's always going to be a rebuttal. So I don't think it is logical to try to argue you can use one for laws and then one for morality. Um, if I had to choose, I would say Hurthouse has the best route. I think there are some forms of abortion that are morally the right thing to do, while at the same time still causing remorse. Um, and I do think at the end of the day, it does cause you to become callous or some form of emotional change. Overall, at a time like normal. And I look forward to the discussion next week on Langrack and continuing on.